I'm your host, Chad Portal. Joining me as always is the sniffling one, Zachary Tyler P. Duncan. I just imagine you as like I forget what cartoon it was, but the character was like always got a cold and he was always sneezing into something and he was just dripping, just snot. I don't know what because I have the image in my head. I just couldn't tell you what cartoon it's from. That's kind of how I feel about you today.
It does not ring a bell.
I think it's like a Looney Tunes or Tiny Toons cartoon. I think because that's kind of like the slapstick humor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we got some Impact-orama to talk about today. We got the Sacrifice. So you said that you watched the entire Sacrifice event on Impact Plus without even having to log in.
Correct.
Is it possible that even though it says you're not logged in, that you're actually logged in? Because sometimes that does happen to me.
I mean, I'm on the website now, so let's take a look.
And then maybe we can blame it on the Bossa Nova.
Yeah. I mean, I went to log in and it wants me to log in, so I don't know.
That seems perplexing. And a teeny tiny bit infuriating.
Yeah, I'm personally not gonna complain. I think it's pretty damn stupid for them, but I'll take it.
I mean, yeah, of course you will. It's not your money. It's mine. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know why I'm getting charged if I don't need to fucking have a goddamn account. It's got some bullshit. What's not bullshit was the Sacrifice event. By the by, I've upped my zombie movie list.
ooh.
Yes. I will tell you all the ones I watched after Sacrifice. Because I added, I think there's 9 altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8. So let's start with the opener. It's Decay versus Reno Scum. This I didn't actually see because I was having issues getting on to Impact.com.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched most of the event. Oh no, I'm sorry. I know. Okay. What was happening was I was having issues with my internet. That's right. And because of the bandwidth and streaming of the video from ImpactWrestling.com, it was hard because like for whatever reason, I don't know if it was that the internet company was siphoning my internet or like restricting it, or if something caused some cascade effect and it took 3 or 4 hours for it to get back to full strength. That's about how long it took. But one of those two instances happened, and I had to watch it on some cheap-ass, bunked-up stream that I could eventually get to. Then I hopped over to Impact Wrestling like an hour into the show, because I was able to watch it then. So I didn't actually see this match, so any thoughts, points, comments, questions, concerns?
I mean, it was a decent match. There was nothing really particularly interesting to take home from it. Decay got the win after Rosemary hit Luster the Legend with the Green Mist, and then I believe it was Black Taurus did some sort of Striker called it the Taurus driver to pin Adam Thornstowe. It was a decent match. It was actually a lot more back and forth than I would have thought it would have been, given how how they're giving Decay the push right now, and unfortunately, Reno Scum not getting the push.
Oh, it's sad.
Yeah.
Speaking of sad, Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K v Havoc and Navia. Never. I don't know. I didn't watch this one either. There's going to be 2 or 3 matches on this card I didn't watch. This is one of the other ones. I have to imagine it wasn't very good because Navia and Havoc aren't very good.
Correct.
Hey, look at that. Yeah. We figured it out.
It was not very good, and Havoc and Nevaeh continued to lose because I mean, granted, they're not. Neither one of them are very good, but it seemed like they actually wanted to do something with them, and that's kind of just been pushed off or discarded for the most part. So,
Well, here's hoping. Now, I didn't watch this one, and at the time I didn't watch the Hold Harmless match, but I went back and rewatched or watched the Hold Harmless match because, duh. So this is the last one I didn't see, but I do know how it ended because the Rhino heel turn. Violent by
yes.
Design and took on Storm and Saban, and Rhino hit Saban with a gore, and Diener got the win. Which is ironic because they're both Detroit boys. That's actually the old MCMG song. So, question, comment, concern about not so much the match, but Rhino and a heel turn and joining Violent by Design.
Interesting. Two things. Kind of my two immediate reactions to this were: one, what is that going to mean for Heath when he's not injured anymore? Um, and the other one, like, it occurred to me that, and I don't know that anyone else really pointed it out, but when Eric Young was having Diener accept his punishment or whatever, and essentially locking him in like the boiler room or whatever. Eric Young and Joe Doring left, and either like we heard Diener getting like hit with something, or he came out later and he was all bruised and beaten up, and no one really questioned how that happened with neither EY or Joe Doring there. So I was like, so that's that. The Rhino heel turn was like, was it Rhino in there the whole time beating the shit out of him?
It was me, Austin. It was me all along. Oh, son of a bitch! I can't do it. oh, son of a bitch! So, interesting takes, or I should say, interesting turn of events. So we'll see how that pans out on Impact. But then we got the Eddie and Brian Myers match. Eddie gets the win. I don't know what they're trying to do with Brian Myers.
It's tough to say.
Like, I would say that this was essentially a wasted kind of feud.
Yeah.
You know, he does have a little history in Impact because when Global Force Wrestling did the invasion, Brian and Trevor Lee won the tag titles when they were Global Force. But, yeah, like, are they trying to rebrand Brian Myers as another wrestler type? Like, I'm the wrestler like Eddie is or Cesaro is? Because otherwise, I don't understand why they're putting him in this feud. It didn't do anything. You know, like, you maybe had a little intrigue when Matt Cardona showed up, but I mean, overall, it just wasn't that exciting of a feud. Brian Myers is about as entertaining as a stone sitting on the sand. Like, oh, cool, it made an indent, and maybe the waves will take it away, but that's about it.
Yeah, I feel like my only rationale behind it is, one, they needed something for Eddie to do, and they weren't really ready for Brian to have a full-on feud with Matt Cardona yet. So that's why they went this route. But again, it didn't do anything to build up Brian Myers at all. He's there was no I can't really say that Brian Myers actually came out of the feud better because of it. It didn't really do anything for Eddie because Eddie was just being Eddie and he won. So, yay.
Certainly a thing that did happen. And like, here's the dumb part. I don't know if they mentioned it, and if they did, it may have been in passing, which still furthers my point. Myers defeated the Wolves to win the tag titles with Trevor Lee. Like, they have history. Never once did we actually explore it. I mean, maybe
I'm disappointed that didn't come up. I'm disappointed with Stryker that he didn't bring that up.
to be fair, Matt Stryker knows a lot about great wrestling. I'm going to let that simmer in your head for a second, and then you may understand why he wasn't paying attention to 2015 Impact.
Fair. Really fair.
All right. Knockout Tag Team titles. This is when I got onto the show. Fire and Flava v. Jordan and Jazz. A little surprised that Fire and Flava got the win. I was really impressed with the match itself, though. Kiera Hogan is just... She's pretty. So watching her is always a treat, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I was very happy that Fire and Flava won, but I'm also kind of sad that Jazz and Jordan lost because like you actually have two teams that are like, oh cool, they are both championship worthy teams, which is two more than the WWE has on all three of its brands. Yeah, that's a long distance shot, folks. Came in with style. So, thoughts on the match, if you have any?
Nothing really insightful. It was a good match. It was a good back and forth match, and was also quite surprised that Fire and Flava won. I'm definitely not against it, but it was a surprise.
We get a Moose promo. It was fine. Then we get the X Division Championship match, which TJP is kind of a dunce cap. He's teeth in a goose. He's the underbelly of a porcupine. He's a turtle without a shell. He's useless as a human being. Not a fan of the guy. He's kind of just a giant schmuckadoodle-doo. Holy crap, can he get a good match out of anyone?
Yes, he is. He is a fantastic wrestler. I like how Stryker described him as the ultimate counter wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's you don't really get a whole lot of like great counter wrestling a lot of the time. I mean, it happened. Like obviously moves get countered, but there's nothing really special. Like the most people counter is that they just kind of slip out of something and do something else. Whereas TJP actually like takes what the person's doing to them and turns it right back around on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of, like a reverse Irish whip is technically a counter. And you see that so often.
Yeah.
Or like you go up for the sliced bread number 2 and the guy pushes you out and you land, then you go for a German suplex and then he whips around and you whip around. Those are sequences that everyone does. It's unoriginal. But TJP, if he gets put into an armbar, reverses and puts the other guy into an armbar or takes him to the ground and puts him in a leg lock. If he goes up, he shimmies out and brings the guy down with an arm drag. He does a very unique set of counters that really does feed into this counter wrestler idea that he has. And truthfully, there should be so many more. Because if you think about combat sports, Floyd Mayweather is a counter boxer. I think, who was it? Patricio Pitbull was a counter striker. You got guys like Habib, who, while not a counter, is a defensive fighter most of the times and usually uses his wrestling as not just an offensive assault, but as a way to negate any potential offense done to him. The idea of counter in combat sports is so big, and the fact that wrestling doesn't embrace more actual idioms of combat sports, it's lunacy. It really is. It's just the dumbest. So TJP loses. He gets hit with the fold. I think Sawyer kind of like schmutzed around on the side for a bit, but I don't remember him actually getting involved.
No, I don't think he actually really did anything.
Like he may have like distracted, TJP by pointing at him like, I'm gonna beat you up. And then TJP's like, and then he went back to kicking Ace in the face. And then like maybe like the ref's like, you gotta stop being by the side there. I don't know why the ref sounds like that, but there you go. But like Austin won this clean. So
Mm-hmm.
just really good match. This card actually had two really damn good matches. We get the announcement that Tennille and Alicia are gonna fight in on Impact. There's that. That was a funny little segment, though. Alicia's very much a fan of Swingers Place. Go figure. Knockouts champion Deanna Prato defeated ODB in a solid, but I would say unimpressive match. Like this would be a fine mid card match on Impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's because ODB is well under her 40s. I think she's like 42, and the bumps and the bruises is starting to take a toll, and she's not the same wrestler she was, because she used to be not overly athletic, but for a how do I say this without sounding like a dick? For a more bulkier gal, like she was doing kip ups and shit back in the day. Like her whole thing, like she would do the nip up and then she would do her tit slap and go ah. Like that was her whole shtick. She was really athletic back then, and she definitely doesn't have that athleticism anymore, and you can tell. But with the match, I thought it was fine. I thought Deanna did a decent job with everything, and Impact's riding strong with Deanna Pratzo, and yeah, I think they were trying to set up the Venus de Milo in the arc of the match a few times, talking about like how she can use it to her advantage. I forget what Stryker was saying, but like when she finally locked it on at the end, like it was like the big culmination of the match's story. At least that's how I remember it. I could be wrong. Any thoughts?
No, I mean I completely agree. The match was fine, but yeah, ODB does not, and it's easy to forget that ODB was that athletic before. I mean, especially like in that era of women's wrestling. I mean, obviously, like the knockouts have always been kind of the top, at least part, like toward the top tier of women's wrestling. But even back then, it was not the same as it was today.
No.
But yeah, ODB is not quite where she used to be, and that happens to just about everybody.
I mean, shit, it's happened to Eddie. You can definitely tell that he may not be the best worker on the roster anymore. That's mostly because he's not training anymore either. Like you can tell Eddie has.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's being a new father or being married or what have you, but you can tell Eddie is not putting the same work into maintaining his form and physique and stamina as he was 10 years ago. And he's 36, 37, an age range where men need to put in time and a half plus to maintain your former visage, so to speak. Like if you could do an hour workout and burn 1,000 calories or whatever, you need to do an hour and a half workout to hit 1,000 calories when you're 40. So he's not putting the same effort, and it's showing in his in-ring work. So my hope is someone goes, especially James Storm, because he was one of those dudes who was always kind of like not in the best of shape, but still in decent shape. He hit 40, cut out carbs, or not carbs because he's still drinking probably. Cut out, I don't know, food. He's just on a liquid diet now. He fucking developed abs. He looked better than he ever had before. He got rid of the little gut, toned up, and it's just one of those things where now you see him and you're like, oh, he still looks like he's 30 because he's taking care of himself.
Yeah.
As an athlete, you need to take care of yourself. Only in pro wrestling can an athlete let themselves go and people go, oh, he's still as good as always. No, he's not. No, he's not. Stop it.
No.
Stop.
And Storm, like he has his gut has kind of come back, but that's just kind of what happens. You get bigger as you get older, but his is still solid.
Yeah,
there's still no like flab on him. He's still very, very solid.
I forgot who it was, but someone used to have a little bit of a punch, but it was like a 6-pack punch, and I've never seen it before in my life, and I haven't seen it since. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a thing. Speaking of things that are now a thing, Finn Juice are the new tag team champions. A decent match. I don't like the Good Brothers, so I don't know. Like I don't give a shit. But like Finn Juice, I love them. They're cool. Really happy that they won the tag titles. I don't have much to say about the match because like it was fine. The ending was a little bit of a schmodge, which is again fine. I like that they used the LOD, Legion of Doom, Road Warriors Doomsday Device to win. I thought that was a nice little kind of acknowledgement. Finjuice isn't going to stick around forever. I'm fine with that. I know that. You know, I wish Finjuice. I wish not Finn Balor. God damn it. I wish Juice Robinson would. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, especially in New Japan. But you know, it's a change. It happened. It's cool. It got people buzzing. So yeah, you know, this is a nice way to show New Japan that you're not going to keep fucking up like you used to. So, any thoughts on the match before we move on to the main event?
The match was decent. It was what it was. There was nothing really special. Again, I don't know why the Good Brothers get the praise that they get. There's nothing. I can't say that there's anything really unique or special about them that sets them apart from any other like mixed-sized tag team that's out there. Honestly. I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't disagree. Impact v TNA, Swan v Moose, Animal Kingdom Battle Royale. This, my phylum-loving fans, was awesome. This was a 2-match card. And I'm telling you, the main event and the X Division title match was exactly what you needed it to be. I love this match from start to bottom. You know, it showed Moose's arrogance, Swan's resilience. I love the end of Moose being so wrapped up in his own, you know, not what all costs kind of mentality, but like, I'm so much better than you in everything I've been doing. And I'm going to prove that by eventually putting you down with the same move I've been using on everyone because you are not special. I love that kind of, you know, mental prowess or lack thereof in the finish, where he sprints and hits one ring post, tries to hit Swan again, then tries to hit Swan again, and Swan capitalizes and gets the win. I'm kind of glad they didn't do all 4 because it would have been too cliche, but part of me also wishes that they would have done all 4. It's like, I'm torn. Overall, this is a great match. Thoughts?
Yeah. It definitely was a great match. I like throughout the match, and especially at the beginning, but it played out throughout the entire thing. Like, the story of the match, not just Swan's resilience, Moose's arrogance, and all that. It was also the Swan is the smaller, faster wrestler, and he's going to try and slip out and avoid Moose's offense, while Moose is a giant, athletic powerhouse of a wrestler who can neutralize all of Swan's offense because he's that strong. And it like at least for the first like 5-10 minutes of the match, that was, and it was fantastic. That's little storytelling of 2 different styles. It was very much like AJ Styles, Abyss, Lockdown. Or was that Lockdown?
Yeah,
or
you're right.
It was in a cage match.
It was 05 Lockdown, main event.
Yes. Just or Styles is just trying to outspeed, outmaneuver Abyss throughout the entire time. Fucking fantastic match.
Yeah. I wouldn't say
this match.
I wouldn't say this match was as good as that match.
No.
Lockdown 05 was just psychotic levels of entertainment. But I do agree that the ideas of both matches are very similar, with the little guy using his littleness and the big guy using his bigness, trying to do things to one another to make a mediumness. And
I like the finish. I like that it was because Moose has been built up so much that having Swan like knock him out or put him down, like put him down with some big move for a 3 count wouldn't have believable. It wouldn't have made sense. So Swan got him with a quick tight roll up or whatever. It was a wrestling move that he managed to cinch in real quick, got a quick 3 count, and that was perfect. That was the perfect way to have Moose lose in that situation.
Do you concur, Doctor? Why didn't I concur?
Why didn't I concur?
Why didn't I concur? Give me a grade for Sacrifice.
I will give it a C plus.
I'm gonna go
Two
right
great
there as well.
matches. Everything else. Two great matches. Everything else very middle of the road.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Nothing bad on the show. Nothing bad, which is a like
No.
that should be the predominator. How many things that were bad? Maybe the Navia Havoc Tennille Caleb match where Caleb Conley's in that match and he's pretty good, so I can't say it's completely terrible. But every other match was fine. It's just, it's an Impact Wrestling TV show quality match, which is fine. Two great matches. I would say two pretty decent ones otherwise, and then the rest were kind of just meh, which is, that's fine. Like, C's a perfectly viable grade. So, nothing wrong there. All right, so here's the list of Zimbabwe movies I've been watching.
Forgot about that.
I did not. I'm going to make some space on this notepad so I can put it on the screen. I want to know how many of these you've watched.
Okay.
Let's see. I have notes on here for because we didn't do a show last night because I was so tired. So I have notes for tomorrow night's show that I'm trying not to show. Not until I have the complete rundown list. So the ones I watched, Warm Bodies. I think I mentioned that to you. Maybe not.
Mm-hmm. You did.
Okay. Life After Beth. Aubrey Plaza.
Okay.
Solid. Not great, but solid. Premise is she dies from a snake bite, comes back to life, tries to find her old boyfriend who buried her, kind of thing. Not like he buried her, but like he was at the funeral. He thought she was dead. She comes back to life. Now he's kind of a little messed up because she's not dead. Better version of that is Burying the Ex, where Anton Yelchin goes to break up with his girlfriend, and as she's crossing the street to meet him for what would end up being the inevitable breakup conversation, a bus hits and kills her.
Ooh.
And then she comes back from life, looking to continue the relationship. That one I would say is the better version of what Life After Beth was trying to be. All these are not straight up horror films except for one. So like you can enjoy these. Like these are all like rom-coms or musicals, and yes, there's a musical on here. But yeah, so it's entertaining. I saw Fido with Billy Connolly. You know who he is? He's a Irish stand-up comedian. I think he's Irish. / the father of the Boondock Saints. He plays a zombie called Fido, who's like a servant zombie, and he bonds with his owner's little boy. So yeah, even if he's not being controlled by a collar, he doesn't attack the little kid and all. It's a funny, cute little movie set in like 1950s suburbia America. It's funny. It's pretty damn good. There's a great scene where like they're doing a Life Alert commercial, or like I've fallen, I can't get up. And the little girl's like, Grandma fell and she can get up, and she starts screaming because the idea is that now Grandma's a zombie. And then like I sent this to my friends on Facebook. I'll send it to you as well. The commercial continues on and goes, "Old people, you know them, you love them. Old people, can they be trusted? No." And I'm just like, that's great. That's the best part of this whole movie. So I sent the clip to them, and it's just like, old people, can you trust them? No. And I'm like, yeah, man, old people are shifty as shit. I thought that was great.
That's really good.
Yeah, so watch that one. That one I think you might enjoy because I think the aesthetic, it's like Beaver to Cleaver meets zombies, and it's great. It's just it's played for yucks the entire movie. Like there's not one scary scene. It's funny as shit. Then we have Cooties with Frodo Baggins and Alison Pill. Frodo Baggins is a character. Elijah Wood, that's his real name. And Alison Pill is actually just her real name. I love Alison Pill in anything. I've watched so many things because Alison Pill's in it. Goon, The Newsroom. She's just awesome. And she plays like the happy-go-lucky teacher. Like, oh my God, everything's sunshine and rainbows. And then she has a freak out moment near the end. And she's like, I fucking hate all of you. You all suck. Do you know how hard it is to have to smile at all of your stupid faces every day? You all suck. And I'm just like, now I know why she took the role. Rainn Wilson's in it, and God, what was his name from Chuck? Big Mike, but he only has like
Levi?
no Big Mike, the Buy More GM guy, Bartowski. He's only in this for a minor moment, and I think there was one other actor or actress from The Office that was in it as well. Definitely interesting. I would recommend it. Definitely funny, but the best is still to come. Then there's Pontypool. Hilarious name, right? Pontypool. Wow, what the hell does that mean? Least funny movie on this list because it's not a comedy. Interesting premise, but it goes sideways. Basically, it's a zombie outbreak movie, but it's all done from a church basement where a radio station is renting. Because, if they're like an AM station, they don't have a lot of money, so they can, they're in Pontypool, Quebec, Ontario, I guess. Montreal, Ontario, is that right? Montreal's in the province of Ontario? I'm asking.
No, Montreal, Quebec.
Oh, I think they're in Ontario. So maybe they're not even close to Quebec. But I think they are in Ontario somewhere. So anyway, most of the movie happens inside of the radio station. Mm-hmm. They're getting calls, they're getting updates. They're having internal strife from events prior to the movie, and it's really good until about the 2/3 mark. You kind of realize and it's not like a big reveal, but you realize that it's not bites or anything. It's language that's turning people into these bloodthirsty monsters. It's some kind of subliminal code, and no one knows why it is, and no one knows how it is. And the way they execute the ending, like the premise already is flimsy. Like, if you speak English, you might turn into a zombie. Really? And then the way, like, I don't want to say they resolve it, but the way he helps one of them not become is so dumb. And then, like, the ending is so dumb. And then the post-credit scene is even dumber, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. And I'm just like, this was dumb. Like, you had a great idea, like, from the perspective of like covering the zombie apocalypse without actually seeing any of it. Like, that was cool. And then it just went sideways. So I would not recommend this movie. Then there was Anna and the Apocalypse, a sing-along zombie musical set during Christmas.
Interesting.
Yes. 2 issues with it. One, shockingly enough, not enough with the songs. There's maybe 4 or 5 in a 90-minute runtime, so I was like, and like 3 or 4 of them were in the first 20 minutes or 25 minutes. So I was like, all right, you set a decent pace, but then you're like, So that dings it, but it doesn't kill it. The other one is this movie is a musical comedy Christmas zombie film, right?
Right.
Don't tell me how you think it ends, but tell me the feelings that you're supposed to have at the end of this movie. With the 4 things I told you: zombie, Christmas, musical, comedy. How do you think the movie's going to end for the viewers? Do you think they'll be happy, sad, angry, filled with joy, maybe singing along with some Christmas carols or whatnot?
I'm going to say joyful and triumphant.
I've never been more depressed at the end of a movie in my life. And like, it's not the most depressing ending, right? Like, if you think about movies like in the end, like, Day of the Dead or Dawn of the Dead remake, everyone dies. Literally everyone dies. But this one, I'm like,
right.
So like, there's survivors. All right, survivors, cool. But from where we started with like this attractive 18-year-old or whatever she is, like, doing like a little dorky jig down the street as zombies are murdering people. It's silly and fun. I expect this movie to be silly and fun. Oh God, it was not silly nor fun. Like, once the trappings of the musical faded away and like the bulk of the movie happened, oh my God. No, please. So definitely watch it, but just understand that you're not getting the Christmas holiday feel-good zombie Hallmark film you thought you were going in. The best film of the list, though, it has to be Little Monsters, starring Lupita Nyong'o. It's and what was that heavy set dude who played the snowman from Frozen? Zachary Gaff or Zach Baff or Gaffrey Gaff Gord Gaff.
Josh Gad.
There it is. They're the only two American, or I should say nationally known or internationally known actors in this film. But it was great. Oh my God. It's a zombie outbreak in the setting of a fun little kind of like petting zoo, putt-putt course, kind of child interactive entertainment land. Like, it's not like a big theme park. It's just like there's like a petting zoo at this little farm. There's a little putt-putt course, and there's like a little kiosk for like, like a little building kiosk for like buying souvenirs. It's like for me, it's a place called like Swings and Things, although it's a regional place, so like you wouldn't know what it is. But it's just like a little thing where you go to on field trips, or like you take your kids to on a birthday party. And that's what it is. It's a little setup like that. And it's ridiculous. And I'm telling you what, if you didn't find Lupita Nyong'o attractive and fell in love with her in any of her other work, you will in this one, because she is glorious in this film. I won't go into specifics or details. The kids were all really good, because like most of the cast because she's a first grade teacher or a kindergarten teacher. So like there's like 12 or 13 kids in like every shot in this movie, because that's her students. And like the little things she does throughout the movie to like, oh, we're going to play a shooty game, because that's what they say in Australia, guys. And everyone's going to pretend to be a zombie, so we got to make sure that we play along with them, so that means we can't get touched, so we got to play tag. And all the kids are like, oh, okay, this is fun. It's like the zombies are trying to eat them, and they're just walking in a straight line like goddamn Caroline in France, just strutting along. And I'm just like, this is the most surreal movie I've seen in some time. And they're all laughing at the zombies as they're ripping people apart. I'm just like, okay. And she does make a point in the movie. She's like, this is the most horrifying thing they've ever seen. And and if you tell them that this isn't a game, I will fucking kill you. And I'm like, oh, I like her. Oh, she's good. Just the movie. The movie is great. Like the main character outside of Lupita is like this dude who's like a slacker, former band musician who just won't get his life together, and like he's the uncle to one of the kids in the group, and that's why he's there. It's like he's helping chaperone because he's trying to nail the teacher. But his nephew is so fucking cool. I will say this about the big climax: Darth Vader saves the day. That's all you need to know.
As well he should.
That's all you need to know. So definitely check out any of those films. I think I found one more to watch, but I don't remember the name. So maybe I'll watch it tonight. I got to get a lot of work done tonight because my sleep schedule's all fucked up. So I'm just yeah. Anyway, so have you seen any of those?
I have not seen a single one.
Well, I would recommend Warm Bodies is kind of cute. The blonde in it is beautiful, and I find her so goddamn attractive. Nicholas Hoult, Beast, he's in it. John Malkovich is in it, and not Dave Franco's in it. So I would recommend that one. If you really like Aubrey Plaza, Life After Beth would be a recommendation, but if you don't, I would ignore that one. Definitely Burying the Ex. Anton Yelchin, he's one of those like Alison Pill. Before his untimely passing, I would watch anything he's in. He just always knew how to bring a human emotion or a human presence to every film he's in, not just stock characters. But he's always so damn likable. So definitely Burying the Ex. Fido, if you like the concept of zombies in suburbia. Cooties, if you like the idea of Elijah Wood doing kind of B-movie horror films, but with a pretty star-studded cast. It's definitely one of those like off the gem radar kind of films. Like I doubt it. If it did have a theatrical release, it was a limited one. Skip Pontypool. Watch Annie and the Apocalypse, but the most recommended would definitely be Little Monsters, following by probably Burying the Ex. But that's because I have a fondness for Anton Yelchin and Alexander Daddario, who's in the movie as well. So those would be my two ultimate recommendations. We are up against it. We got 10 minutes, so let's run through Impact real fast. So, Zach, we're gonna hit some of the results real fast, but I want to get your general take on last night's episode. Do you feel like it was a successful continuation or bridge from No Surrender?
Um, yeah, I think it was pretty successful. They, in terms of the Impact Tag titles, they Finjuice um told the Good Brothers that they had to head back to New Japan for a month, and then they'd be back at, what is it? Rebellion is the next pay per view.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, I was taking a drink or something.
Okay. So they'll be back at Rebellion for the Good Brothers rematch, and I dig that. I like that Finjuice. I like that they had Finjuice won the Impact belts, and then they can show them around New Japan for a month or so. So that's pretty cool. And I think the I think the best segment of the night was the Rich Swann Don Callis segment.
Mm-hmm.
And not because, Don Callis as a heel manager is fantastic. He's so much better in that role than as a color commentator. But the best part about that segment, Swan came out. He's all fired up because he won he's now the unified Impact World Champion, and he's gonna face Kenny Omega at Rebellion, and he's gonna take the AEW World Championship from him, and yada yada yada. And Don Callis comes out and he's like, and kind of talks Rich up a bit, and he's like, you had a great night on Saturday, but did your wife have to tell everyone at the party, don't mention the one-winged angel? Did you wake up at night thinking one-winged angel? And you could see Swan, like, typically in these kinds of segments, the face would get fired up and yell back at their face and back at the heel's face, and you can't affect me like this. I'm gonna take it to him. I'm gonna win. Blah blah blah. But you could see as Don kept hammering it in, just how much worry and fear and anxiousness and doubt was creeping in on Swan, and that was fantastic. The way they wrote that, the way they made that segment happen, sold the importance of the main event and Rebellion so well, because this is a very, I'm not gonna say completely unprecedented, but this is a huge thing to have one world champion versus another world champion, two separate companies. One's gonna take the other title with them back to that company.
I think the last time two champions in North America of this highest prestige faced off for the title was in the 70s. It was the NWO World Champion Harley Race versus Superstar Billy Graham, I think. It was one of the few times the WWF and the NWO had a big title match. It ended in a draw or some nonsense like that. But yeah, this is unprecedented. No two companies with two legitimate world champions have had this type of encounter in this country in 45 years.
Mm-hmm. And you can damn well bet that they're not going to be stupid enough to have it end in a draw
or a finger poke. Although that would be great.
Or part of me wants to see that just to watch the world burn. People would get so fucking pissed.
I think Kenny's gonna win, and I think he's gonna drop it to Moose to Slammiversary. That's my prediction timeline. We'll see if there's any legitimacy to that. So one of the other things that was noted was that Rohit and Shira are already done. They had a match. Rohit won somehow.
Because
beat Rohit.
What's the point of Shira right now?
Right? Beat Rohit. It's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Grace, Jazz, RDB, Havoc, and Navia defeated Alicia. And Alicia defeated Diana, Fire and Flavor, Kimberly, Susan, and Tennille. I think like the winner it had something to do with the title or title match or something like that. So we'll see what happens next with this grouping. I would love to see Jazz versus Deanna 1-on-1. So that could be cool. Main event though was Sami Callihan and Trey Miguel. Trey Miguel lost, and I think he lost.
Yes,
and
he did.
I couldn't remember if it was a loss or if it was thrown out. But like the whole thing was like Sammy really messed up Trey, and like everyone's scared for Trey's health now. And you know, it was one of those things like this was a feud of necessity for Trey. He had to come in and have this feud because he and the Rascals went to an NXT or WWE performance camp tryout, and he was the only one not signed. And then they brought him back. So you almost had to have this storyline where you wash off that tryout. Now, by all intents and purposes, from what I understand, it wasn't that Trey didn't get signed or wasn't offered. It was that Trey did not like the specificities, I think I'm saying that wrong, of what he had to do once he got there, and he opted not to sign. That's the workaround that I've been hearing is that, you know, because he's talked about it before on social media. His nephew is his world. And he cannot imagine being away from him as often as it would be if he was with NXT. Because I think Zach and Dez moved down to Florida. And Trey's from, all three of them are from Southwest Ohio. So I think to him, like, there's just, and I think he even said, like, there's just bigger things that are more important to him right now than working in that company. And Triple H said something offhanded to the point of, like, some guys just aren't dedicated enough to do this. It's a typical WWE Triple H, dude, you don't have what it takes, kid, kind of comment. But ultimately, I think Trey made the right decision because, he put his family first, and he's got a big feud with Sami Callihan that's slowly developing into something far more than it is. And I think Callihan can maybe help elevate Trey to where he always kind of thought he should be, because Trey was getting title matches against Moose and I think Swan at one point. Who was the champion before Swan? Eric Young. Didn't Trey have a match with Eric Young at one point? So he's been thrust into the main event scene throughout all of last summer and fall and winter, and now they're finally doing a legitimate storyline to get him into a place where he could be a headliner if this works out. So, any final thoughts on Impact, my friend?
Let me think. I thought there was something that I thought was
thing on the wing.
It's hilarious because I knew exactly what you were going for the moment you said it.
Something on the wing. Something on the wing. See, I only saw the Animaniacs spoof of that as a kid. So like it was always like something on the wing, something on the wing. So whenever I actually saw like the actual Twilight episode, I'm like, wait, he doesn't say it like that, and I was so disappointed.
Yeah, I mean,
still the best one is
to be fair,
yeah. Go on, sorry.
To be fair to William Shatner, I mean he's very over the top, but he's not as over the top as everyone likes to make fun of him for being. At least most of the time. And this is the case with any impressionist or whatever. They tend to exaggerate things. It's like a caricature in like a newspaper. That they exaggerate the main points to get to be like, okay, that's who this person is.
It's kind of like the old story of Paul Revere, the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. Zach, you know that Paul Revere rode up and down the U.S. Atlantic coast to warn the colonies that the British were coming, right?
Of course.
That's not how it went. He went like 8 miles, and he's like, dude, my balls, I can't. I'm done. I think the guy was Israel Thistle was the one who rode the rest of the way after Paul Revere did Boston, the lazy cunt. So Israel Thistle went down the rest of the coast, but when the story became a folklore thing, it was the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere, and I think it was a poem. And I think it was I forget the comedian who covered it, but he's like, like no one's gonna write a song about Israel Fizzle. That's just not a name that rolls off the lips. And that's kind of what Shatner's acting has become. It's more of a overblown phenomenon than it is an actual truth. But the best Animaniacs episode was the Heart of Darkness parody, where like the I forget who he was trying to be, but he was trying to be like the sad clown, and he's sounds like Jerry Lee, I think, or yeah, I think Jerry Lee Lewis. Not Jerry Lee Lewis. I think it's just Jerry Lewis. That's what it's, Jerry Lewis. Brian Levin. And they were doing this is the beginning of our story, and like they just kept going throughout the entire episode. And like Yakko's doing like Tai Chi on top of the golf cart as they're driving to the other side of the lot. Oh, that episode is great. All right. Anyway, we're done. RealNerdCorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. We're on Twitter at NERDCorp. On Instagram at RealNerdCorp. Zach, you can be found on Instagram and DeviantArt at Radiance2020, RADIANCE2020.
That's right.
You can find me on Twitter at ChadNerdCorp, ChadNerdCorp, and on the Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut. Check out the website, RealNerdCorp.com, Twitch.tv/Wrestling Underground, every Wednesday, 9 p.m. right here. We're also on YouTube.com/The Wrestling Underground. Just go to the website for all the links, RealNerdCorp.com. And for Zachary Duncan, I'm Chad Portal. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. And as always, watch more wrestling. Zachary, take us home.
Good night, Rich Swan.